Hello and welcome to episode 33 of the Made by Moreno podcast. My name is Catherine and this is a knitting podcast, although I do sometimes talk about other fibre crafts. In fact, I'll be talking about two other fibre crafts today. And yes, so a really warm welcome to you if you're new here, and a huge welcome back if you've endured my rambling before. Yes, so let's get going. Who am I? So I'm filming today as I usually film in Mönchengladbach in the sort of western side of Germany, not too far from the Dutch border, not too far from Düsseldorf, where I live permanently with my partner, who's from this area. And yeah, I've lived here for quite a long time now, but I'm originally from Wales in the UK. Yeah, but I call Germany my home these days. So yes, what have I been doing this week? Working on some test knits, going to a little fibre festival, no, a craft festival yesterday, but I went to Amsterdam for a couple of days, so my partner had to go there for work, so I tagged along and made myself useful for a couple of days, but I'll tell you all about that later. So yes, I invite you to grab a drink. I've got some apricot tea today, it's very nice. And settle in. I hope this will be somewhat more of a chatty episode than the last couple. There aren't any plumbers here today, as far as I'm aware. There's no builders. A couple of episodes ago there was a leak in one of the other apartments in the building, so there were plumbers coming in and out. And I'm filming as normal on a Monday, so hopefully this will be a nice chatty episode today. As usual, I put chapters in, so feel free to skip through if there's something that you're not interested in or whatever. And what else? Oh yes, you can find me on all the usual social media, but all the links and everything that I talk about is all down below. Okay, so what am I wearing today? I was going to wear my finished object today, but I thought it's easier to talk to you about it if I'm not wearing it. So instead I'm wearing a lovely ridge tee. This was a test knit that I did for JC of the Blue Bide Pine shop last summer. And it's a really pretty, nice, simple cotton tee in two different colours with some nice pearl ridges on it all over for a little bit of detail. And I made this in, I'm just reading my notes, drop saffron. So that is, I think it's a mixed material yarn. No, it's 100% cotton. So I made this in 100% cotton in two different colours, but all of the details are on my Ravelry page, and yeah, I link all of that below, so feel free to go and have a look if you're interested. So just for reference, I have about 120 centimetre bust, which is about 47-48 inches. So I tend to knit the 4th or the 5th size in most patterns. So this is a nice size inclusive pattern. I knit the 5th size. It is quite baggy, but that's absolutely fine because it's a summer top and you want it to be able to breathe. I think I might reblock it because as I've been wearing it, it's been shrinking this. It's been, yeah, shrinking this way. So I think it needs reblocking. Although I did put it in the washing machine and it was absolutely fine. So yeah, this is a nice simple t-shirt. If you're interested in JC's patterns, she makes really wearable, nice, simple garments, and her patterns are nice and straightforward, simple to follow, really good tutorials. One of the other patterns that I did for her had a picot edging on it, and she did a great tutorial for that to explain how to do it. So if you're a newbie knitter, I definitely recommend her patterns. Some of her older patterns are only with imperial measurements, so inches, rather than centimetres, but and I initially had a problem when I started testing for her because all of the measuring things that I have here, they only have centimetres on, they didn't have inches. So yeah, it was a bit of maths to work it out and finding a conversion online to work it out, but it's not a big problem. Yeah, so I really like this t-shirt. It's nice and cool and it's nice and easy to wear. It was great to take on holiday. I actually took it to Thailand with me last year when we went on our summer holidays. So yeah, really nice t-shirt. If I haven't already done so, I'll put a picture up here of me wearing it, but I expect I've already done that. So yes, that's what I'm wearing today. I should have mentioned as well, actually, I forgot that this is knit up on a US 5, so that's a 3.75 millimeter needle. So it's a really nice gauge. You don't have to wear something underneath it. I'm wearing, you know, obviously underwear and a vest underneath this today. But yeah, it doesn't really need it. So yeah, really nice, easy to wear garment. So the first thing that I want to talk about in terms of WIPs and finished objects is a finished object. This is my finished in the garden tee. Oh, it's a bit creased now. From Jessica McDonald, and I thought that I would show it to you rather than wear it, so because it's just a bit easier to show. I have been wearing it quite a lot, and you can see it's puckered a little bit where the colour work is. But yeah, so I'll put up a little picture of me wearing it here, or a little video of me wearing it here. And yeah, I really enjoyed wearing this. It's so, I love this colour. I also love that the colour work is down around the bottom of the tee as well. It's just a really interesting design feature. And yeah, it just fits really nicely. I'm really happy with it. I made mine with no ease in it, in fact a little bit of negative ease. Made it quite cropped because I like to wear t-shirts like this over skirts and over dresses in the summer, and I'm quite high-waisted, so it just suits my style a little bit better to wear it quite cropped. I was worried in the last episode, if you watched it, that it wasn't going to be long enough, and in which case I was going to either, as one viewer suggested as well, I was thinking about it, but I wasn't sure if I'd be brave enough to actually cut it here and add some more length in here and then graft the two ends back together. But what my initial plan was to rip back the binding and just add some more in here. So yeah, this is finished. I'm really happy with it. I'll show you my floats. So nice and simple. Very wearable. I made this in a linen mix, so the linen mix that I made it in is no longer available, but it's very similar to something like linen Quill from Purl Soho. But any fingering weight yarn will be absolutely fine for this pattern. I did make a few different little adjustments to the pattern, but nothing major. So when I was knitting down here, I don't know what I was thinking. I did measure it, but then when I came back to measure it again, it wasn't quite right. But I think I must have knit the armhole a little bit deeper than the pattern suggested, because when I then came to pick up stitches for the arms, I picked up a few too many, but looking at the comments from a couple of the other testers, I think they have the same thing, so it might just be a stitch count issue, which the designer Jessica McDonald will pick up before the pattern's released. So yeah, other things that I changed, I knit the sleeves slightly longer, only a centimetre, a couple of centimetres or so, and then obviously I knit the body slightly shorter. I also did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off for all of the bind offs. So the construction of this is that you start at the back, knit across the back. Oh gosh, you can see the folds where I chucked it after wearing it the other day. Oh, how lazy, I'm so sorry. Anyway, so you knit the back and then pick up the fronts, join together, and then knit, 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 and then join underneath the armholes for knitting in the round. So yes, yeah, really nice pattern. This is the first time I've knit for this designer. First one of her patterns, and I've got to admit, one of the reasons I really enjoy test knitting is the kind of the group atmosphere and the sort of the online chat and things with the other testers, which wasn't really there in this one for some reason. I'm not sure if the designer is running several test knits or something at the same time, but it felt like a very quiet test knit this time, and yeah, and yeah, so anyway, but yeah, but this is my first time knitting for this designer, so perhaps that's just normal for this designer, but anyway. So this is the In the Garden tee from Jessica McDonald, and it's a lovely pattern. It's a really nice pattern, and to be honest, I think I'd probably use the same construction and maybe omit the colour work, or perhaps do the colour work a bit deeper, repeat that middle motif, make it a little bit deeper. But no, I really enjoyed this. This is knit on 3.25mm or US 3 needles. And yeah, not a lot else to say about it. Really nice pattern. The end date, or the due date for this, when was the deadline for this test knit? I think it was like the 4th, or it is the 4th of June, something like that. So I imagine it'll be out quite soon after that. But as I said, this has been quite a quiet knit, so I haven't really had a lot of feedback about when it's going to be released or anything. But yeah, that's I'll probably put it on my Instagram. And definitely check out Jessica McDonald's Instagram as well if this is something you'd be interested in knitting. But it's a really sweet little pattern and definitely very versatile. So yeah, I recommend. Okay, so as I said, I put all of the details about everything that I do on Ravelry, and also I've talked about that t-shirt several times in previous episodes, so go back and check out my other episodes for more details if you want to. But another finished object first. So I think I'll probably use this one for the thumbnail because I'm so happy with these. They're so cute. So in the summer, I like to wear shorties with my trainers, and I've kind of been perfecting my own little recipe for the last couple of years. And so yeah, this is just a little shorty sock recipe. I've made so many of these, but I'm experimenting with a slightly longer cuff. So normally I knit 5 rounds of 1x1 rib, and then I go straight into that heel flap, then the heel turn, and then I usually pick up around 20 stitches down my heel flap before doing the foot and what I would call a normal rounded toe with even decreases. I cast on 64 stitches for my foot size, so I have UK 6 feet, which is an EU 39. I think it might be US 7 or an 8. But yeah, I have super average sized feet, just for a point of reference. But I do have quite wide-ish feet and quite square toes. Birkenstocks fit me beautifully. I live in Birkenstocks during the summer. Yeah, anyway, what was I saying? So yes, in the past I've only done 5 rounds here for the cuff, but I'm experimenting with doing 10 rounds instead. And I can't wait to wear these. I finished these a week or so ago. But because I wanted to save them to show today, I haven't worn them yet, so I haven't road tested the slightly deeper cuff to see if I'm happy with it. So as far as I can work out, and I don't know if you've got any other opinions on this, when you're making a trainer sock, the secret is to make, for me anyway, to make this heel flap a little bit deeper than you would for normal socks, because then it's less likely to slip under my foot. So I don't know if you've had the same experience when making shorties, but I seem to find that that works quite well, because normally when I'm knitting socks, I aim for picking up about 16 or 17 stitches along my heel flap. But yeah, I find that doing a little bit deeper for the shorty socks seems to work a bit better. So I've done the heel in one of the first yarns I bought after coming back to knitting. It's a John Arbon Exmoor sock, and then the stripes are leftovers from other projects. So this is Bird Street yarn, just their sock yarn in Merlin, and the blue is La Bien-Aimée. I think they're just their normal sock base as well. I think the colour is something called Hegelia, something like that. But I had 2 little nuggets left. Still got some left again actually, so I might make some more, might make another pair. But yeah, really sweet little socks. Not too exciting, but I don't know what it is. I've been knitting for years, but there's something about making a heel turn that's just magic. You suddenly start doing these little back and forth to make that little curved heel, and it's just, yeah, I love it, absolutely love it. For me anyway, it's very satisfying. I'm not a sock knitter, but I do enjoy the construction of a good, well-fitted sock, and this is just my go-to recipe. Yeah, but there are lots of nice beginner-friendly sock recipes out there. The No Fear Shorties from, I think it's Earth Tones Girl, her podcast. She makes some really nice sort of beginner-friendly tutorials if you're interested. A couple of people, oh, I must say as well, thank you so much for the messages on my last episode. It was really, really kind. The suggestions for what to do with that linen yarn that I've got, and also the feedback about your experiences of sort of feeling overwhelmed at craft fairs and things. It was just so lovely that so many people yeah, made the time to make some lovely comments on my last video, so thank you so much. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, one person messaged last time to say that they would love to knit socks, but they're an old-fashioned knitter, so they always knit flat. Is it possible to make socks knitted flat? It must be. But where do you put the seam? I'm curious. Does anybody knit socks flat? I'd love to hear about it. It'd be interesting to have a go. Because you can make gloves flat and then you seam up the sides of all the fingers, and I've done that before. So I'm just wondering if it's possible. It must be possible. But yeah, if you know how to knit socks flat, please comment down below because I'd be fascinated to see how it's done. But anyway, so yes, this was my handbag project. Happy days, and I've just cast on another pair with some more scrappy leftovers, but I'll probably show you those next time. So my final final knitted finished object is yet another Musselburgh. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you will know that I knit a lot of these. This is my partner's favourite type of hat, and when he's incredibly supportive. He goes with me to all of these yarn festivals, or most of these yarn festivals and things, and but often when we're there, he sees yarn that he likes, and he's really attracted to nice bright colours, very saturated yarns, and he loves these brightly coloured hats. So he often just says, "Can you make me a hat from that?" and buys a skein of yarn for himself. So if you're not familiar with it, but I'm sure that you are, this is a Musselburgh, and it's that shape. So you knit a nice squishy tube with closed ends. This is such an easy pattern. The only fiddly bit is the cast on, because you have to cast on several stitches in a little tiny loop and then increase out from that, which is a bit of a nuisance to do. I am not a crocheter, but I have heard that people do a crocheted start for it. Also, what I have done in the past, when I was just sort of coming back to knitting and getting used to it, I didn't join in the round immediately. I knit 1 or 2 rows flat and then I joined in the round and then sewed it up. It made a slightly less neat end, but it was a bit more manageable. But yeah, just persevere. I personally use Addy Crazy Trios when I'm knitting these, and I do find that easier than DPNs, just because of the management of the like the needles and things, that you get yourself less twisted up. The downside of using Addy Trios for this, because it's such a long piece of stockinette, it is prone to laddering a little bit. Although this seems to have mostly sorted itself out, you can see it a little bit there. So what happens when you're knitting with, and I apologise if you already know this, what happens when you're knitting with Crazy Trios or DPNs is where you have that the transition between 2 needles, you can end up with a little bit of laddering down there, and there's nothing to worry about. It's just where the gauge is slightly looser because you've got that transition between 2 needles and the knitting is pulling a little bit. There's a couple of things you can do to avoid this, which I should have done here and didn't. The easiest way that I find is to keep transferring 1 stitch every couple of rounds to the next needle, so the join is never in the same place. If you're going to do that, I tend to leave my markers in so that I know where my decrease points are going to be to make it even on the other end. If you start doing the pattern, you'll see what I mean. But yeah, if you're going to do it on 2 needles, on like Crazy Trios, keep transferring. The same principle would work on DPNs as well. Just keep transferring 1 stitch to the next needle every couple of rows, and you avoid that ladder. The other way of doing it is to, after you knit the first stitch on your next needle, knit the first stitch normally, and then when you knit the second stitch, pull that one a bit tighter, just to pull it all in and get a bit of a better gauge on that sort of join. What can happen if you pull the first stitch on the needle tight, it actually makes the problem worse and you have a more exaggerated ladder. So don't be tempted to pull that first stitch tight, pull the second stitch tight, and it seems to pull it in a little bit better. Generally, it kind of blocks out and it's not really anything to worry about. I mean, if I look really closely, I can see it a bit. Yeah, you can see it a little bit there. I don't know if it'll pick up on here. A little bit of laddering. But it's really, really nothing to worry about. What is more exciting about this though is the yarn. So this is a German yarn. The brand is Walk or Valk because it's German. And this is their cottage merino in the colourway Provence. And it's a superwash 100% merino. And they call it a heavy sock weight, but I don't think I could use it as a sock because it's a single. I think what they mean is a fingering weight, but anyway. And it's also really kind of heavy duty because it's 360 meters per 100 grams. So it's a lovely squishy single, really nice. And it's just gorgeous. I didn't, where did I buy this? I think I bought this in the Garn Studio in Cologne when I went there last summer. Yeah, so my partner didn't choose this one, I chose this one, that's right. I was picking up prizes for the Mall last year, which there's going to be more on that later on in the episode if you're interested in doing a Mall. So yes, really nice, easy knit. That was my handbag project, but it was his birthday last week and I like to make him a new hat for his birthday, for anniversary, for Christmas. So he has a variety of hats in a variety of colours and he loves them. He shaves his head, he's got no hair. So he needs to keep his little head warm. So these Musselburghs are perfect, and because he's a chilly mortal as well, so the double layer keeps him nice and warm as well, and adds a little pop of colour to his attire, whatever he's wearing. So that is another finished Musselburgh. Okay, so we are into WIPs now, and my first WIP, and the thing that I'm mainly working on at the moment, although I'm not rushing through it, there's a couple of weeks to the deadline and I'm really enjoying knitting on it, so I'm taking my time, is my Florence sweater. And yesterday when we were in the car, driving down to Bonn, or near to Bonn, I did the ribbing and the bind off. This is a test knit that I'm doing for Elenor Mortensen, and I love test knitting for Elenor Mortensen. She designs beautiful patterns. There was nice big testing groups with lots of really chatty, very supportive people in it. The groups aren't locked or anything, so if you're interested in having a look at the chat and having a look at what people are doing, go onto Elenor Mortensen's page and have a look at the Florence sweater test chat, because what people are making is just absolutely incredible. Different colourways, different ways of interpreting the colour work, different sleeve lengths, all sorts of things going on there, and it's just really inspiring for what people are making. So my particular version, I am making this, what do I call it? The contrast colour. The contrast colour is something called Castor Lace from the WIP Yarn Company, and I'm holding it double because it's a very thin yarn, but oh, it's beautiful. It feels incredible. I'm not using any superwash yarn in this particular pattern. I'll just show you the yarn. I've talked about this before, so I apologise, but genuinely this yarn is just amazing. This is from the WIP Yarn Company, as I said. This colourway is called the Swan, and this is Castor Lace. And I think I'm not going to need to touch this second skein. So I've got a second skein to play with, and that's very exciting. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll just sit and look at it maybe. Put it in a frame on the wall. Put it up there. It's just beautiful. I know I go on about yarn from the WIP Yarn Company a lot, but oh, he makes gorgeous yarns. He really does. Ross is a genius with colour. So anyway, so that's what I'm using as my contrast colour. This held double, and it, as you can see, it just, as my partner said the other day, it looks like fire. It's beautiful. So the colour work goes all the way down the body, and then there's this little motif at the end. And yes, so this, the makeup of this, again, I've talked about this before, so I apologise. It's 50% Falkland Merino, 25% Gotland, and 25% Corriedale, and it's 650 metres per 100 grams. So oh, it's just beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I could squish that all day. The main colour is also gorgeous. And hopefully I'll have enough of this to left over to experiment with it as well. So it's not a new yarn or anything, but it's the first time I've used it. This is Mondim from Portugal, and from Retrosaria, and it's gorgeous. So it's sold as a sock yarn, but it's a non-superwash, non-nylon sock yarn. I'm hoping I've got enough left to make a nice pair of socks with this for myself, because I'd love to experiment with it and see how I get on with it. The price point is fantastic, I think anyway, for this. And I can make a sweater for myself using only this for under 50 euros, which is brilliant. It's for a non-superwash 100% wool yarn, that's pretty good, to be honest. But yes, I'm absolutely in love with this. It blocks beautifully, it blooms really nicely, it comes in so many different colours. It might be one of my new favourite to work with yarns. Apologies if it's not available where you're from. But then I have the same sort of hankering after, is that a pun? Same hankering after yarns when I watch Canadian podcasters. Like I watch Nancy of Knits It Pappy or Selma of Little Big Knits, and they're talking about these beautiful yarns I can't get hold of, or if I wanted to order them, the postage is so expensive, so it's not really worth it. But yes, one day I'd love to go to Canada and to North America and do a proper yarn crawl and buy lots and lots of samples of different types of yarn from countries that it's more difficult for me to get hold of yarn for. And I know from the comments and things that people in North America, the United States and Canada, and in Australasia as well, yeah, they can't get hold of these yarns. They're like, oh, I'd love to try it, love to try it. But please tell me about the equivalents in your part of the world. I'd love to hear about it. Because I do have family in New Zealand, so I could potentially put an order in and it could be brought in person. You never know. But yeah, anyway. What is this? This is 385 meters per 100 grams. So these two work really, really nicely together. They play really nicely. I bought 2 skeins of this just in case, as I said, but I'm definitely going to have this left over. I'm very excited. So what to make with the leftovers? I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, back to the pattern. So I've got this all over colour work. The pattern comes in 13 sizes. So I'm just reading off my notes. The gauge is 23 stitches by 29 rounds in a 10 centimetre square. I actually went down a needle size because the recommended yarn is slightly heavier and I wasn't happy with the gauge that I was getting. So the recommended needle size is a 3.75 millimetre, but I went down to a 3.5 millimetre. I'm getting a nice gauge there that I'm happy with. So the only thing to do is to put the sleeves on, and yeah, happy with that, and looking forward to wearing it, although it's a little bit warm at the moment, but oh, it's so squishy, it's lovely. I love Elenor Mortensen's patterns, she makes such pretty colour work. So is there anything else to say about that? I don't think so. Yeah, so the deadline for that is in a couple of weeks. So I imagine that the pattern will be out sometime at the end of June. Yeah, so watch this space. It's a very, very wearable pattern, as all of hers are, with a lovely round yoke construction. So yes, nothing else to say about that, I don't think. The only other thing that I've been working on, just because I fancied a bit of sort of vanilla knitting, where is that? I picked up my Habitation Throw again. I'll try and show this to you without taking off the needles. And I tend to have a blanket project on the go, and I just fancied a little bit of backwards and forwards knitting. We've been so busy the last couple of weeks, and lots of things to sort out, lots of admin stuff to do. It's been pretty full on for the last couple of weeks, so I just needed some nice, simple, mindless-ish kind of knitting. So this is the Habitation Throw. It's from Helen Stewart. It was one of the Knit Vent patterns from a few years ago, and I'm making this in this beautiful sock yarn from Meadow Yarn in the UK. Sorry, so yes, I treated myself to a 3 skein fade. She did a beautiful midwinter box last November, and I treated myself to that because it was a really sweet little goodie box, and it came with these 3 gorgeous, in fact, where are the other ones? So at the moment I'm fading in, I started with this, the darkest one. I'm fading in the medium one. But I've still got, this is the lightest one to go. In fact, you can see then the makeup of it. So this is the yarn. Yeah, it's a fingering 4-ply, 100% wool, superwash merino, 400 meters per 100 gram skein. So just a normal silk yarn, but I mean, how gorgeous is that colour? It's so delicate. I also had from my partner for Christmas the Christmas box from Sherry Iris, so I'm going to fade that in as well. It's just gorgeous, really pretty. I mean, this beautiful merino yarn, it always feels too special to use, and I never really know what to do with it, but I think, you know, we always have a blanket over the back of the chair. I like to have lots of blankets about the place for, you know, snuggling up in the winter when it's not so warm, or needing an extra layer when we're sitting outside or whatever. So I think it's a really nice sort of use so that you can display this kind of really beautiful yarn, because when it's a blanket, it's out, you can see it and enjoy it. It's, yeah, I think it's a really nice, I don't think it's a wasteful use of really beautiful yarn. So this is a really slow time project, and I'm thoroughly enjoying working on it. And I think I'll probably fade this one in and then finish off with this one. So it'll be 4 skeins, but I am holding it all the way through with some kid silk mohair from Rowan. I bought this for another project. It didn't really work out for that project, so I thought I'd use it in this instead. This is colourway Purl 590, and that's the reason actually why I got this project out again. Somebody was watching one of my older episodes where I started doing this, and they asked me what colour this was. I thought, it should be on my Ravelry notes. Checked, I hadn't put it on Ravelry, which is not like me at all. And then I got the blanket out, and I thought, oh, I could do just 1 or 2 rows. 1 or 2 rows turned into 10 or 12 rows. But it's just so nice and comforting to knit on a blanket sometimes. And it's not a complicated pattern. There's an I-cord at each end, but I've talked about Helen Stewart's patterns before. She really holds you by the hand, so especially if you're a new knitter, she takes you line by line, she gives you percentage finished all the way down the side. It's super easy to follow her patterns. So yes, I'm holding lovely, luxurious, hand-dyed sock yarn with this. I mean, oh, I feel like a very, very lucky girl sometimes. So that is that. And other than that, I don't have any current knitting WIPs. I've got a few things that I'm planning on doing. I am going to frog that linen top I showed you last time, and I do have a plan for what to do with it. Again, thank you so much for all the lovely suggestions of tops that I can make. I actually made a little bundle on my Ravelry group, so if you have a look in the notes, you'll see a link to my Ravelry group. So if you're interested in things to knit with skinny linen, pretty summer tops, I collated all of the suggestions and ideas that people had from the last episode, just in case you're interested as well. So that is that. Okay, so I've got a few other things to talk about today. The first one being, as normal, irresponsible purchases. So we went to, or my partner and I went to a little craft fair yesterday in a town called Euskirchen, where there is an old textile factory, and it's a museum now, but they had a really nice craft fair there, and there was everything from locally made mustard and cheese to yarn and fibre, but also lots of people actually spinning and weaving and doing lots of different crafts and things, and there were lots of workshops available, especially for kids. So it was just a really, really nice day out, not too far from here, about an hour drive away. But as I said, my partner quite enjoys the little road trip. I get to knit, and he usually gets to stop for some sort of burger through the window, shall we say. So everybody's happy. But at the little craft fair yesterday, I made 2 irresponsible purchases. The first one is some gorgeous fibre. It is very, very soft. I've been doing quite a lot more spinning recently, so I'm kind of in a zone to buy fibre right now. And my partner's not complaining because it's a little bit more affordable than buying yarn all the time, so he's happy. This is a combination of 70% merino and 30% silk, and it's so soft. But he actually chose this, my partner did. He saw this, he picked it out and he said he really liked that, so I might spin this up and try and aim for a fingering weight and make him a little, yet another Musselburgh out of this. It's very soft. It's lovely. I must apologise, I don't know who the dyer is or who the maker is for this. I looked back through my footage, and there's footage at the end of the yarn fair. I did include footage of this stall, but I didn't film the name. I didn't pick up a business card. It doesn't say anywhere on here who the dyer is. I looked at the list online, which again I've put on my show notes if you're interested in all the vendors, and I couldn't work out which vendor it was. So I'm so sorry about that. If the vendor is watching, I doubt they are, but if they are watching, I'm so sorry, and please feel free to comment down below and say I made that fibre. It's not like me at all to not make a note of it. So yeah, I do apologise. So I picked that up, but I also picked this up, which is some beautiful unspun, and it's local to me. This is from the Rhine region, and it's a company called Purl, RH:OOL, and it's wool from the Rhine region, and they make lots of normally spun yarn as well, but they did a Cologne and a Dusseldorf unspun, and I just love the colour of this. I thought it would play very nicely with the other unspun yarns that I have, and it's nice to have a nice neutral colour to use for colour work and things, so I picked up a skein of that too. And again, the vendor for that is linked down below, so if you live in this region, they did a really nice range of dyed spun yarns as well, so go and check that out. But yeah, I thought actually, considering it was a really lovely craft fair, I think I did very well. I almost came home with lots of things, including baskets. I do regret not buying another basket. There were some really nice baskets there. But anyway, it is what it is. There's always next time. Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention about the yarn festival that I went to, it was all outdoors. It was so nice. It was lovely to be able to walk around outside. The weather was okay, and it felt very open. It was huge, but it was yeah, it was really nice to walk around and actually have daylight to see the different yarn colours and things in. Also, there was a seller there, a new to me seller, who was selling the most gorgeous yarn bowls. You'll see them in the footage at the end, but I need to remember those because they might be a future irresponsible purchase. In fact, I must say that a couple of people came up and said hello to me as well, which was so lovely. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciated it. And that one of you actually did inspire one of my other irresponsible purchases, because after seeing what you had got, I did go immediately to the same stall and picked up something for myself. So yes, you are partially responsible for my irresponsible purchases this episode. So last week, if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen I went with my partner to Amsterdam. And there's a little bit of footage of my trip to Amsterdam at the end of this. I'm afraid I didn't go to any yarn shops because I just didn't have time. And also I've been to all of the yarn shops in Amsterdam a couple of times, several times. I go to Amsterdam fairly regularly. We don't live that far away from it. It's about a 2.5 hour drive. It's not that far. But this time we went on the train. And if you are interested in tours of the yarn shops in Amsterdam, I think episode 8 of my podcast is the last time I did some tours, but yeah, So please go and check that out if you wish. I know that Stephen and Penelope have moved to a new shop in a different area, but you can still enjoy a tour around the old yarn shop. I doubt it's changed that much. But if you do go to Amsterdam, please make sure you check out all the other yarn shops as well, because there are so many to choose from. And my favourite one is actually in the centre, in the 9 Streets area, and there's a tour of that one as well in episode 8. Anyway, so the reason I didn't have time was because I was doing a weaving course. I contacted a lovely lady called Camila, all of her details are down below, because I saw that she often had workshops available in a place called the Steek, and asked her if she wouldn't mind doing a one-to-one workshop, and she got back to me and sorted, done, and I made this. It's not perfect. One of the ends is a little bit less than perfect. So the purpose of the workshop was I wanted to learn how to warp a rigid heddle loom, how to set everything up, how to begin weaving, how to weave, how to finish a project, and definitely accomplished all that. Camila was fantastic. She took me through all of the process, all the whys, all the hows. It was brilliant. Really thoroughly enjoyed it and thoroughly recommended it. Thoroughly recommend it. She made me feel very, very welcome. So when I was setting the weave up, I did make a mistake on my warp. So I'd threaded 2 pieces of yarn through one of the slats in the reed. So I had to then move that along, which meant that my weaving wasn't as balanced as it should be. So you'll see in the footage at the end, there was a little bit of a tension issue, which has kind of pretty much sorted itself out during blocking. So yes, I'm not sure what I'm going to use this for. Maybe I'll fold it in half and make a little bag out of it. I don't know, but this is just made with 100% cotton. But yes, this brings me on to my irresponsible purchase. I may have ordered a rigid heddle loom from Ashford. It may be a 60cm wide one, and it may be an early birthday present. But there's method to my madness. There is method to my madness. It is a bit extravagant, and it's not the kind of thing that I would normally do. However, I have a lot of cotton yarn, and I've got ideas of what to do with it. And I'm really looking forward to getting weaving. Also, I would really like to do it whilst that workshop is still fresh in my head, so that I'm not trying to work it out all over again how to do it. So yes, as I said, I have a very supportive partner. And yeah, may have ordered myself a rigid heddle loom that will hopefully be arriving later this week. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Also, I would love to be able to do some weaving with my hand spun yarn. Yeah, I have plans for that too. So yeah, that's what I made. So I finished another spin. I'm a bit embarrassed to show my spinning because it's not very good yet, but it is improving, it is getting better. But a couple of people are asking about it, so I thought I would be brave and show you what I've been doing. So this is a spin in John Arbon Woad in their Harvest Hues range, using their tops. And it's okay, it's not too bad. Again, it is thick and thin, but the second half of the spin was better than the first half. Something clicked whilst I was doing the second half of this spin, and it suddenly became, not easy is not the right word, but it became less arduous and it became more instinctive. That's the word, it became more instinctive. So I definitely noticed something switched, something changed. So I have been spinning so much old, what's it called, like quite matted merino that a friend really kindly gifted me. She gave me about 500, not 500 grams, how much was it? It's about 5 kilos of this yarn. She gave me loads of it. It was a massive bag of it, just to play around with. So I was spinning on that, spinning, and then I started spinning up my so-called special yarn. And this is also John Arbon tops, and I've shown this to you before. I can't remember, I think this was Blackthorn. I've written all the colourways down in the notes. And then this is the second one. Speedwell, I think this was. The different colours you can see in there is just where I've tied up the yarn before I've washed it. And then this third colourway is Woad. Again, they're all Harvest Hues, and so I'll give that one a bath later. But the spin that I'm doing at the moment is the Peat colourway. And as you can see, I mean, that bit there, that's just the end of the spin. But it's not looking too bad. It is definitely getting better. So that was about 50 grams. So what I've been doing is where you have the long, in fact I have it here, is where you have this long top, just roughly dividing it in two to try and do an evenish spin. I do have a couple of bits of leftovers after plying from the other colours as well. I was thinking I might try and ply them together, just to have a bit of just to use up all the bits. I don't really want to waste it. But yeah, that's what it looks like before it's spun. And then that's what it looks like after spinning. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I'm really enjoying it. I have an Ashford Kiwi 3 that I got for my birthday last year. If you're interested in having a look at it, have a look at day 3 of my Vlogmas last year, because that was my birthday. And I spent the morning building a spinning wheel. Marvellous way to spend a birthday. And then we went to a Christmas market in the evening. I mean, you know, it doesn't get any better than that. Well, for me anyway, that's my idea of a perfect day. But yes, so that is that. And I'm hoping to spin up the rest of this. I might do it today. We'll see. It's just got such gorgeous colours in it. These colours from John Arbon are just, oh, they're super. They're not flat colours, they're interesting to look at, and obviously you do lose some of that variety after it's spun, but it just makes it such an interesting yarn to work with. So yes, that is that. That is stuff that I've had in stash that I'm gradually getting through, which brings me on to the mal. So let's talk about that. So last year I ran a mal for the first time, and it was so much fun. It was lovely to see everybody's entries on Ravelry and on Instagram, and people emailed me. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed seeing what everyone was making. And yeah, the theme was thriftiness. So my understanding of the word thrifty just means to being careful. Watch the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves, my nana used to say, and she's quite right. And it's that kind of theme of using what we already have rather than buying more things all the time, which I know that I certainly have a tendency to do. So I want to use up some of my stash to finish off projects that have been lurking about for a while, and that's again the theme of the mal for this year. So the mal is the MBM Thrifty Mal 25. And all of the details for this are down below and also in my Ravelry group. So have a look at that if you're interested. So firstly, all crafts are welcome. Last year we had people doing felting and rope making, knot making and leather work, all sorts of different things. I really don't mind what it is. It's just about making things in a community of crafting and sort of celebrating all that, which yeah, not strict rules for this at all, just lots and lots of entries and lots of inspiring things going on. Secondly, if you don't have a big stash or you're not a hoarder of patterns and yarn, don't worry about it. Use what you've got. The point of the mal is to try and spend as little money as possible. But sometimes to make a project work, you do have to spend a little bit of money. So say I don't know, I've got a sweater quantity of something, but I need mohair to go with it to make a particular pattern. Fine, whatever. Just trying to spend as little money as possible. So don't worry if you're a new knitter and you don't have a big stash, or you're just not one of those knitters who has an embarrassing stash. I know you do exist. I'm just reading from my notes. I'll just read it out. So beginning on the 1st of June and ending on the 30th of September this year, so it's over the summer, all crafts are welcome, all previously owned or free patterns are welcome, and I've made a link down below to a bundle of free patterns just as suggestions and ideas on Ravelry as well. So all crafts are welcome. The point is to spend as little cash as possible. So we're trying to bust some stash. So try and shop from your stash if you have one, but it's not essential, just encouraged. So this could be gifted yarn, a gifted kit, an unfinished project, anything that you want. And it's WIPs are welcome. You don't have to finish the MAL, your project by the end of the MAL, but just make sure that you post a picture of what you're working on before the end as well. And also double dipping, as far as I'm concerned, with other MALs is absolutely fine. I think that Selma of Little Big Knits is also running a year-long Shop Your Stash MAL as well. So fine, I don't have a problem if you want to double dip with that. That's absolutely fine. And everyone is welcome, so please don't feel put off if you just want to knit a hat or something like that using some leftovers or scrap yarn. That's exactly what we're looking for. So if you want to make an entry, please use the hashtag MBMThriftyMal25 on Instagram. And because there have been some changes recently, I think, in the way Instagram works, just make sure you tag me as well at Moreno, because I don't always see. Which also reminds me, if you've ever messaged me on Instagram and you haven't had a reply, it's just because I've got my settings so that things go to like a secondary inbox, so I don't always see things. So apologies if I haven't replied to you if you've messaged me on Instagram. But yes, please make sure that you tag me as well. If you don't use Instagram, please feel free to go in the group on Ravelry and post your pictures there. And if you don't use Instagram or Ravelry, that's absolutely fine too. Just email me your entries. And my email address is down below. It is madebymomeno@gmail.com. So do feel free to email me there. There will be 3 prizes, and they will all be local to me yarns. I should have bought it to show you. I'll show you next time. So in fact, you can have a look at my last episode if you want. I picked up some yarn from Mönchengladbach, which is the city in Germany where I live, and that will definitely be one of the prizes. But yeah, I will keep an eye out over the summer. It's also helpful for me to have this little incentive to get out and about and look for new to me yarn shops and new to me dyers over the summer months as well. So yeah, feel free to join in. I think that is all. Yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. So yes, finished objects, WIPs, spinning, weaving, MAL. So if you'd like to have a little calm down now after all that deluge of information, there's a little there's some snippets after this of my trip to Amsterdam and the weaving class that I did over 2 days, and after that there's a little tour of the yarn festival that I went to. So, but if you're not interested in the weaving, just skip over it, it's fine. But yeah, I hope you have a lovely week wherever you are. Happy crafting, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Thank you.